For years, if you wanted the MacBook of Windows, you got a Dell XPS. Sleek, powerful. It was supposed to be the whole package. But something's off with the new XPS 16. A really troubling story is bubbling up from the people who actually bought one. So let's get into it. And this right here, I think I made a huge mistake. That's not some tech reviewer trying to get clicks. No, that's a real owner, just 1 week into their purchase. And that feeling, that instant regret, it's everywhere. We're seeing it all over the forums and community pages. I mean, look at this thing. It's gorgeous, but it can cost up to $3,500. For that kind of cash, the absolute last thing you should be thinking is huge mistake. So, what is going on? Why are so many people who bought this premium laptop so unbelievably frustrated? Okay, so let's talk about the day one experience, because apparently the problems start the second you hit that power button. This isn't that fun, exciting moment of unboxing a new toy. For a lot of XPS 16 owners, it's just a headache from the get-go. Just look at this. This is what people are dealing with right out of the gate. Can you imagine spending over 4 hours just on updates before you can even use your new laptop? One user, a network engineer no less, found over 1,000 system errors in the log before they installed a single app. And yeah, of course, the good old blue screen of death shows up to the party pretty early too. All right, so maybe you get through that awful setup. You'd think it's smooth sailing from there, right? Wrong. This is where the real promise of a high-end powerhouse laptop just completely unravels. We're talking about critical performance failures that make this thing a nightmare for the exact reason you bought it. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? My new XPS 16 is running like complete crap. This is from someone with a totally maxed out machine. We're talking an Intel Ultra 9, 64 gigs of RAM, and it struggles just doing everyday things. And for creative pros, basically unusable running Adobe applications. Wow, that is a massive, massive red flag. And when we say unstable, we're not talking about a little stutter here and there. No, people are getting constant blue screens of death. The whole system just crashes and won't recover. It freezes up on the restarting screen. It randomly reboots to a black screen. They're even seeing WHEA hardware errors, which is really scary because that points to a problem with the actual physical parts, even when all the diagnostic tests come back fine. So, as if all that wasn't enough, there's a problem you can actually hear. It's called coil whine. It's this high-pitched, buzzing electronic noise coming right from the guts of the machine, the CPU and GPU. And if you're trying to work in a quiet room, well, you can imagine. As this user puts it, it's just incredibly annoying. Which just begs the question, right? Is this the sound of premium? I mean, when you shell out top dollar, you expect a certain level of quality. And a constant, irritating buzz definitely isn't on the list. So why is all this happening? Well, a huge piece of the puzzle seems to be a very deliberate design choice. It looks like Dell is starving its graphics cards for power. The RTX 4050 in here, it's only getting 40 watts. To put that in perspective, the official spec allows for up to 115 watts. Competitors are easily feeding the same chip 80 watts and getting way better performance. It really feels like Dell chose thin over functional, creating this heat problem that just throttles the expensive hardware you paid for. But believe it or not, the performance issues are only half the story. Now we've got to talk about the physical design itself. This is where it becomes a real death by a thousand cuts, with all these little choices that just make the laptop a pain to use every single day. And look, I get it. It's a stunning machine. It's sleek, it's minimalist, it looks like it's from the future. But that beautiful design seems to come at a huge cost to usability, a cost that the user pays every single time they try to get work done. First up, the keyboard. Oh boy. Users are reporting this really weird layout. You get this gigantic caps lock key, but then the up and down arrow keys are teeny tiny. And then, and this is a classic, they put the power button right next to backspace. You can imagine how many times people are accidentally shutting their computer off. Oh, and on the silver model, the white backlight on the silver keys makes them basically invisible in a lot of lighting conditions. Just why? And then we have the function row. I'm putting that in air quotes because there isn't one. Dell ripped out the physical keys and replaced them with these capacitive touch buttons. You know, the same idea Apple tried with the touch bar that everyone hated so much they had to get rid of it. It means you're always having to look down from your screen, which just kills your workflow. And the worst part? No physical escape key. For programmers and power users, that's just a deal breaker. Honestly, the list just goes on and on. The haptic touchpad, which has no visible border, is apparently super buggy. The palm rejection is bad, so your cursor jumps around while you're typing. The edges of the laptop are so sharp, people are literally saying they cut into your wrists. It's heavier than the competition. It's got a micro SD slot instead of the full-size one photographers need. And of course, no USB-A, no HDMI. It's just one user-hostile design choice after another. Okay, so your laptop is buggy, it's slow, and it's physically uncomfortable to use. So you do the logical thing. You call support. Right? Well, this is where the story goes from bad to just plain awful for a lot of people. And get this, in a move that is just mind-boggling, sometimes Dell's own updates make the problems worse. There are tons of reports about a recent driver Dell pushed out that completely broke the camera for Windows Hello. So the facial recognition just stopped working. Users had to figure out on their own how to uninstall it and roll back to an older driver to fix the problem Dell created. This conversation, taken right from Dell's support forums, tells you everything you need to know. A user has a brand new, error-plagued machine, they mention a network issue first, and support just immediately shuts them down. They won't even talk about the other problems. They just say, nope, not supported, you gotta pay more money for our premium software warranty on a brand new defective laptop. And this turns out to be a really common story. People are spending hours and hours on the phone with support, getting nowhere. They're just told over and over that their obvious hardware problems, like the random crashes, are a software issue that their warranty doesn't cover. So they're stuck, trapped with a broken product and a support team that just wants them to open their wallet again. So when you're dealing with a faulty device and a support system that won't help, what do? Well, the community of XPS 16 owners has reached a pretty clear consensus. And the advice is simple and urgent. Return it. Right now. This user says it perfectly. Return it right now before it's too late. They strung me on for months. That 30-day return window is everything. You know, this is about more than just one bad product launch. For people who have been loyal Dell customers for years, this feels like a total betrayal. It feels like Dell is making the same mistakes that other companies have made, and in the process, they're just destroying the beloved XPS brand. So to sum it up, the consensus from the people who actually own this thing is pretty grim. Use that 30-day return window, because after that, if you need a repair, you could get used parts. If you need a replacement, it might be a refurbished unit. The overall feeling is that this whole thing was just rushed out the door. It feels premature, untested, and a money grab. Ouch. And that really leaves us with one big question, doesn't it? This laptop has a premium look and a very premium price tag. But if that premium price doesn't get you solid performance, if it doesn't get you good usability, and it definitely doesn't get you helpful support, then what exactly are you paying for?